My child, listen to me. Come closer and give me your attention for just a little while. I am speaking to you right now, not by accident, not by chance, and not because you were simply passing time. I called you here. I stopped you here. I placed these words before you because heaven has something to say to you in this moment. My child, you have been wondering if I saw what you went through, if I noticed how hard it was, if I understood how much strength it took just to keep going. Hear me clearly now. I saw everything. And I tell you this with love and authority. You passed the test. Yes, my child, you passed the test. The one you did not even know you were taking. The one where no one clapped for you. No one encouraged you. And no one truly understood what it cost you. The test of patience when nothing moved. The test of faith when answers stayed silent. The test of obedience when it would have been easier to quit, to turn away, or to harden your heart. You kept walking. You kept believing. Even when you were tired, even when you were confused, even when you cried in secret and questioned if it was worth it. You did not give up on me, and I have not forgotten that. My child, I know there were moments you felt unseen, moments when you wondered if your prayers were hitting the ceiling and falling back down, moments when you said, "Lord, how much longer?" and felt no reply. But do not mistake my silence for absence. I was closer than you realized. I was watching how you responded when nothing changed. I was shaping your heart, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what is coming next. And now I speak to you plainly. You passed. And because you passed, I need you to do something, and I need you to do it now. Before I tell you what to do, let me speak to your heart. I know you are tired. I know you carried weight that was never meant to be seen by others. I know how many nights you lay awake replaying conversations, decisions, and fears in your mind. I know how many times you smiled on the outside while your heart felt heavy inside. I know the moments when you felt alone even in a crowd. Do not think for 1 second that I ignored those moments. I counted every tear. I heard every quiet prayer. I felt every ache in your heart. And I never once stopped loving you through it. My child, the test was not to break you. It was to prepare you. I needed to know that you would stay soft when life tried to harden you. I needed to know that you would keep trusting me even when the path was unclear. I needed to know that you would not chase shortcuts that would destroy what I am building in you. What is coming next requires a heart like yours, a heart that has been refined, humbled, and strengthened. That is why the waiting was long. That is why the process was painful. And that is why the breakthrough is about to be meaningful. Now listen carefully. Do not let your mind wander. Do not brush this off. This is the instruction, and it is urgent. What I am asking you to do is simple, but it is not easy. I am asking you to move forward without fear. I am asking you to stop doubting what I already confirmed to you. I am asking you to obey the next step I have been placing in your heart, even if it feels small, even if it feels uncertain. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Do not wait for everyone to understand. Do not wait until you feel fully ready. Move now, my child. Delay is the only thing that can weaken what I am releasing. Fear will try to dress itself as wisdom. Hesitation will try to convince you that waiting longer is safer. But hear me. This moment has a window, and obedience keeps it open. I am not asking you to rush blindly. I am asking you to trust me fully. The step I am calling you to take will align things you cannot yet see. When you move, doors will open. When you act, provision will follow. When you trust, peace will settle in your heart like never before. You may be wondering, what if I fail? What if I make a mistake? My child, I am not sending you alone. I go before you. I walk beside you. I correct you gently when you need it, and I protect you from what would harm you. You are not stepping into the unknown by yourself. You are stepping into what I have already prepared. The test proved that you are ready, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. I need you to let go of what belongs to the past. Some habits, some thoughts, some connections, some fears that once felt familiar but now only slow you down. I am not taking them from you to hurt you. I am removing them to free you. You cannot carry old weight into a new season. Trust me enough to release it. I will replace it with peace, clarity, and strength. Comment amen. I'm unshakable in my faith if you're standing strong on God's promises. My child, hear this deeply. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not late. Everything you went through was necessary to bring you here. I am proud of you. Not disappointed. Not frustrated. Proud. You stayed faithful when it was hard. You stayed kind when it would have been easier to grow cold. You stayed hopeful when circumstances gave you no reason to. That matters to me more than you know. Now is the time to trust my voice over your fears. Now is the time to step out of the comfort of waiting and into the courage of obedience. Now is the time to believe that I truly am who I say I am in your life. I am not just the God who comforts you in pain. I am the God who leads you into purpose. I am the God who restores what was lost. I am the God who opens doors no one can shut. Do not look back with regret. Do not look around with comparison. Keep your eyes on me. Stay close to me. Talk to me. Lean on me. Let me guide you step by step. You do not need to know everything. You only need to trust the one who does. My child, heaven is speaking to you right now. This is not a random message. This is confirmation. This is direction. This is love wrapped in truth. You passed the test. Now walk forward in faith. Do what I have placed in your heart to do. Do it with trust. Do it with courage. Do it knowing that I am with you and I will not fail you. I love you. I am proud of you. And what comes next will change your life because you chose to listen. My child, come closer and listen with your heart, because what I am about to tell you is not something many understand, and not something everyone passes through. What you endured was a test, but it was not written on paper, and no one announced when it began. There were no clear instructions, no timeline, and no visible reward at the end. That is why it was unseen. That is why it went unnoticed by others. But I was watching every moment. I was measuring not your speed, not your strength, but the condition of your heart while you waited, while you obeyed, while you endured, and while you trusted me without proof. The test of patience came first. You were asked to wait when you were ready to move. You were asked to remain still when everything in you wanted answers, change, relief, or closure. Days passed, then weeks, then longer than you expected, and still the door did not open. I saw how you wrestled with impatience, how you questioned whether waiting meant you were forgotten. Yet you stayed. You did not run ahead of me. You did not force what was not ready. Even when your heart felt restless, you learned to breathe and wait again. That patience was not weakness, my child. It was strength forming quietly inside you. Every time you chose not to panic, not to rush, not to give up, you passed another moment of the test. Then came the test of obedience. I asked you to do things that did not always make sense to your mind. Sometimes it was staying when you wanted to leave. Sometimes it was leaving when staying felt safer. Sometimes it was being silent when you wanted to explain yourself. Sometimes it was choosing integrity when cutting corners would have been easier. No one applauded those choices. No one saw the inner struggle it took to obey me when obedience cost you comfort, approval, or certainty. But I saw it all. I saw you choose my way even when it felt lonely. Obedience is never loud. It is often quiet, costly, and hidden. And you obeyed, even when you did not know where it would lead. The test of endurance followed closely. This was the part where the weight felt heavy and long-lasting. This was not a short trial. This was something that stretched you, drained you, and at times made you wonder how much more you could carry. You endured misunderstanding. You endured delay. You endured emotional pain that had no clear explanation. There were moments when you felt like stopping, when you said, "I cannot do this anymore," yet somehow you got up again. Not because you were strong on your own, but because I was holding you when you had no strength left. Endurance is not about never feeling tired. It is about continuing even when you are tired. And you continued. And there was the test of faith, the deepest test of all. Faith when there was no sign. Faith when prayers seemed unanswered. Faith when circumstances looked unchanged. Faith when silence felt louder than my voice. You were tempted to believe that nothing was happening, that your trust was misplaced, that your hope was foolish. Yet even in your questions, you did not fully turn away. You still spoke to me. You still reached for me. You still hoped, even when hope felt fragile. Faith does not mean you never doubt. It means you choose me even when doubt is present. And you did that, my child, again and again. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us via Super Thanks to show your support. I know about your silent suffering. I know about the pain you did not share because you did not want to burden others or be misunderstood. I know about the tears you wiped away before anyone could see them. I know about the prayers you whispered under your breath, unsure if anyone was listening. I know how you carried on while feeling empty inside. You were obedient in ways no one noticed. You stayed kind when bitterness tried to take root. You stayed gentle when anger would have been justified. You stayed faithful when walking away would have felt easier. That unseen obedience mattered more than you realize. There were moments you felt overlooked, moments you felt like your effort was wasted, moments you wondered if I was paying attention at all. Hear me now, my child. Not one moment was wasted. Not one tear was ignored. Not one act of obedience went unseen. I was present in every quiet choice, every lonely stand, every decision to trust me instead of your fear. I was shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for what requires maturity, humility, and depth. You may not have understood why the test lasted so long, why relief did not come sooner, why answers were delayed. But tests are not meant to be right. They reveal what is real, what is rooted, and what will last. I was not testing you to see if you would fail. I was allowing the test so you could see what I have placed within you. You are stronger than you thought. Your faith is deeper than you realized. Your heart is more resilient than you believed. Now hear these words clearly, without doubt, without hesitation, without fear. You passed. You passed the test of patience. You passed the test of obedience. You passed the test of endurance. You passed the test of faith. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Not without struggle, but without quitting. That is what matters to me. This is why things are shifting now. This is why clarity is beginning to rise where confusion once lived. This is why peace is starting to replace heaviness. You are not entering a new season by accident. You are stepping into it because you were prepared. You were refined. You were tested and you were found faithful. Rest your heart in this truth, my child. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are approved. You are seen. You are loved. And you passed. My child, come and rest your heart for a moment. I see the tears you tried to hide, the ones that fell late at night when no one was around, the ones you quickly wiped away during the day so others would not ask questions you were too tired to answer. I saw them all. Every tear carried a story, a prayer, a question, a longing you did not know how to express. You wondered if those tears meant you were weak, if crying meant you lacked faith. Let me tell you the truth now, gently and clearly. Your tears never offended me. They never disappointed me. They never pushed me away. I was close to you in every single one of those moments. There were days when loneliness wrapped itself around your heart so tightly that even familiar faces felt far away. You could be surrounded by people and still feel unseen, unheard, untouched. You asked yourself why it felt this way, why connection felt so distant, why comfort seemed just out of reach. My child, loneliness does not mean you were abandoned. It means your soul was longing for a deeper assurance than human presence alone can give. Even when no one else noticed the ache inside you, I was there, sitting with you in the quiet, holding your heart when you did not know how to hold it yourself. I know the confusion that filled your mind. Questions that had no clear answers. Situations that did not make sense no matter how many times you replayed them. You tried to understand what you did wrong, what you missed, what you were supposed to learn. Sometimes the confusion felt heavier than the pain itself. You wanted clarity, direction, something solid to hold on to. And when it did not come quickly, you felt lost. My child, confusion is not a failure. It is a place where trust is formed. You were not wrong for questioning. You were not broken for feeling unsure. You were human, and you were learning to lean on me in ways you never had before. The waiting was one of the hardest parts, I know. Waiting when you were ready. Waiting when you were hurting. Waiting when you felt like your life was standing still while everything else moved forward. You counted days. You watched time pass. You wondered if the waiting itself was the answer, or if something had gone wrong. You asked me why I was quiet, why I did not move faster, why relief felt delayed. My child, waiting never meant I stopped caring. It meant I was working in ways you could not yet see. I was holding things together while you learned to breathe through uncertainty. Do not feel ashamed of how deeply this season affected you. Do not minimize your pain or tell yourself you should have handled it better. Pain does not require permission to exist. It does not need to be justified to be real. What hurt you truly hurt you. And I never asked you to pretend otherwise. I never asked you to be strong at the cost of being honest. I never asked you to suppress your feelings to prove your faith. I welcomed your honesty, your tears, your questions, your weariness. You were never wrong for feeling the way you did. There were moments you felt like I was silent, moments when you prayed and heard nothing in return. That silence made you wonder if I was distant, if I had stepped back, if you had done something wrong. Hear me now, my child. My silence was never absence. Even when you could not feel me, I was there. Even when my voice was quiet, my presence was constant. I was closer than your breath, nearer than your thoughts, holding you steady when everything felt unsteady. I watched you get up on days when getting up felt impossible. I watched you show kindness when your heart felt heavy. I watched you keep going even when motivation was gone. Those moments mattered. They were not small. They were acts of courage formed in private. You were not weak for struggling. You were strong for continuing. And I was with you in every step, even when you could not sense me walking beside you. You may have thought you were alone in the silence, but I was listening. Listening to what you could not put into words. Listening to the prayers you did not know how to pray. Listening to the ache beneath your questions. I understood what others could not. I knew what your heart needed even when you did not know how to ask for it. My presence does not depend on your awareness of it. I do not leave when you doubt. I do not withdraw when you are confused. I stay. My child, let this truth settle deep within you. You were never abandoned. You were never overlooked. You were never a burden to me. I did not grow tired of you. I did not turn away from your pain. I stayed through the tears, through the loneliness, through the confusion, through the waiting. I stayed when you felt strong, and I stayed when you felt empty. I stayed when you believed, and I stayed when you struggled to believe. Even now, as you listen, I am here. I am not rushing you. I am not disappointed in you. I am not asking you to hurry your healing. I am inviting you to rest in my presence, to let go of the fear that you were ever alone. You do not need to carry the weight of that season anymore. You do not need to replay it with shame or self-blame. Bring it to me. I already know it. I already understand it. And I am gentle with your heart. My child, I am with you in the silence, just as much as I am with you in the answers. I am with you in the waiting, just as much as I am with you in the breakthrough. I am with you in the tears, just as much as I am with you in the joy. Nothing about your pain pushed me away. It drew me closer, and I will remain with you now and always. My child, come closer and let your heart be still with me for a moment. I know how much you have cried, even when no sound came from your lips. I know the tears that soaked into your pillow at night and the ones that blurred your vision during the day when you tried to act as though everything was fine. You did not cry because you were weak. You cried because you cared, because you hoped, because you carried more than anyone ever knew. I saw every tear, even the ones you swallowed back. I did not turn away from them. I did not ask you to stop. I stayed with you, and I treasured every tear as a language of your heart speaking to me. There were moments when loneliness pressed in so deeply that you wondered if anyone truly knew you. You felt invisible, as though your presence did not make a difference, as though your absence would not be noticed. Even when people were near, you felt far away, like you were standing behind glass watching life move on without you. My child, loneliness does not mean you were unloved. It means your heart was longing for connection that goes deeper than human words. In those moments, when you felt unseen, I was closer than you realized, leaning toward you, listening to every unspoken ache within you. I know the confusion that circled your thoughts, the questions that repeated themselves without answers. You tried to understand why things happened the way they did, why doors closed without explanation, why prayers seemed to echo back in silence. You searched your heart, wondering if you missed something or failed somewhere. My child, confusion is not something to be ashamed of. It is part of walking by faith, part of trusting me when sight is limited. You were not broken for feeling lost. You were learning to trust me beyond understanding. The waiting weighed heavily on you, waiting for change, waiting for clarity, waiting for relief, waiting for a sign that something was happening behind the scenes. You watched time move slowly, and sometimes it felt as though your life was paused while others moved ahead. You asked me why the waiting lasted so long, why the answers did not come quickly, why your heart felt stretched and tired. My child, waiting was never punishment. It was never rejection. It was a space where I held you, protected you, and worked quietly on things you could not yet see. Do not feel shame for how deeply this season affected you. Do not tell yourself that you should have been stronger, calmer, or more composed. Pain does not need permission to be real. It does not need to be compared to anyone else's pain to matter. What hurt you truly hurt you, and I never dismissed that. I never expected you to pretend. I never required you to smile through your suffering. I welcomed your honesty, even when it came through tears and trembling faith. Say amen. I'm stepping into my season of favor if you feel heaven opening over you. There were days when you spoke to me and felt nothing in return. Days when my voice felt distant and my presence felt hidden. You wondered if I was silent because I was displeased, or because you had drifted too far. My child, my silence was not distance. It was closeness in a form you did not yet recognize. I was with you in the quiet, steady and unmoving, even when you could not feel me. I do not leave when emotions fade. I do not disappear when doubts rise. I remain. I watched you carry yourself through ordinary days while your heart was heavy. I watched you show kindness when your energy was low. I watched you keep promises, fulfill responsibilities, and care for others while you yourself felt empty. Those moments mattered deeply to me. They were acts of love formed in difficulty. You were not weak for feeling tired. You were strong for continuing. And every step you took, I took with you. I understood the prayers you could not finish, the words that felt stuck in your chest. I understood the sighs, the pauses, the silence where language failed. You never needed perfect words for me to hear you. I heard your heart before your lips moved. I heard you when you were angry, when you were sad, when you were confused, and when you were too exhausted to feel anything at all. My understanding of you never wavered. My child, you did not imagine my nearness in those moments when calm suddenly washed over you without reason. That quiet peace, that brief stillness in the middle of your storm, that was me reminding you that you were not alone. Even when your emotions could not sense me, I was anchoring you, keeping you steady, holding you together when you felt like you might fall apart. You may look back on that season and wonder how you survived it. You may not see strength when you remember it, only weariness. But I see it differently. I see courage formed in private. I see trust that did not depend on comfort. I see love that did not disappear when things became hard. I see a heart that continued to reach for me, even when it felt unsure. That matters more than you know. Let go of the thought that your pain pushed me away. It did not. It drew me closer. I do not recoil from broken hearts. I draw near to them. I do not ask you to heal yourself before coming to me. I meet you exactly where you are. I stayed with you in the tears. I stayed with you in the loneliness. I stayed with you in the confusion. I stayed with you in the waiting. I did not abandon you for a single moment. Even now, as you read these words, I am with you. I am not rushing you forward. I am not measuring your progress. I am not disappointed in how long it took you to heal. I am gentle with your heart. I invite you to rest, to breathe, to release the fear that you were ever alone. You do not need to carry that weight anymore. My child, I am with you in the silence as surely as I am with you in the answers. I am with you in the waiting as surely as I am with you in the breakthrough. I am with you in the tears as surely as I am with you in joy. Nothing about your struggle disqualified you from my presence. Nothing about your pain made me step back. I stayed then. I am here now, and I will remain with you always. My child, listen carefully now, because what I am about to tell you will bring understanding to what once felt unfair, heavy, and confusing. The test you walked through was not random, and it was never meant to harm you. It was necessary, not because I doubted you, but because of what I am preparing to place in your hands. Greater responsibility requires a deeper heart. Greater blessing requires stronger roots. I could not release what is coming into your life without first preparing you to carry it without being crushed by it. You asked me why the road was narrow, why the weight felt heavy, why the process lasted longer than you expected. My child, everything I entrust to you carries influence, impact, and consequence. Blessings are not just gifts to enjoy. They are responsibilities to steward. I needed to know that when doors open, you will walk through them with humility. I needed to know that when favor rests on you, you will not forget who sustained you in the waiting. I needed to know that when others look to you, you will lead with love, not pride, and with wisdom, not haste. Preparation does not look like celebration. It looks like endurance. It looks like obedience when no one is watching. It looks like patience when reward is delayed. I was strengthening you for moments where others will depend on your decisions, where your words will carry weight, where your actions will shape outcomes beyond your own life. If I had given you those responsibilities before your heart was ready, they would have overwhelmed you. What I delayed was not withheld out of cruelty, but protected out of love. There are blessings that destroy people when they arrive too early. There are doors that ruin hearts when character is not yet matured. I have seen how sudden elevation without preparation leads to arrogance, exhaustion, and collapse. I refuse to let that be your story. I shielded you from shortcuts that would have cost you your peace, your integrity, and your relationship with me. I closed doors not to punish you, but to keep you safe until you were ready to walk through the right ones. My child, pride grows quietly when success comes without struggle. It convinces the heart that it no longer needs guidance, correction, or dependence. I love you too much to allow pride to take root in you. That is why I kept you grounded. That is why I allowed seasons where you felt small, overlooked, and dependent. Those seasons trained your heart to listen, to pray, to seek me first instead of trusting your own understanding. Humility was formed not by loss, but by learning where your strength truly comes from. The test also protected you from destruction you could not see. There were paths you wanted that would have led you into harm. There were opportunities that looked good on the surface but carried consequences beneath. There were relationships and environments that would have slowly eroded your peace, your identity, and your purpose. I stood in the way of those things, even when you did not understand why. You thought I was delaying you, but I was shielding you. Refining is never comfortable, but it is always intentional. I was not punishing you for mistakes. I was shaping you for purpose. Punishment seeks to cause pain. Refinement seeks to remove what would harm you later. I was gently exposing attitudes, attachments, and patterns that could not follow you into the next season. Not because you were bad, but because you were becoming something more. Gold is not refined because it is worthless, but because it is valuable. Fire reveals what does not belong. In the same way, the pressure you felt revealed what needed to fall away. Dependence on approval, fear of rejection, the need to control outcomes, the habit of doubting yourself. These things were not your identity, but they clung to you. The test loosened their grip so you could walk forward lighter, freer, and stronger. My child, I needed your heart to be soft enough to listen and strong enough to lead. I needed you to learn how to wait without losing hope, how to obey without immediate reward, how to trust without constant reassurance. These are not small lessons. They are the foundation of a life that can sustain blessing without losing direction. The test taught you to seek my voice above noise, my timing above urgency, my will above comfort. You may have felt stripped during that season, like things were being taken from you one by one. In truth, I was removing what would have competed with what I am about to give you. I was clearing space. I was simplifying your heart. I was teaching you that you do not need many things to be whole, only me. What remains now is stronger than what was removed. I know there were moments when you questioned me, when you wondered if I was being too hard on you. Hear me now with clarity and love. I never punished you in that season. I trained you. I protected you. I prepared you. Everything you endured was measured. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meant to break you. It was meant to build you in ways comfort never could. You are now ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. You are ready to receive without becoming prideful. You are ready to lead without becoming harsh. You are ready to be blessed without forgetting humility. That is why the test was necessary. That is why it took time. And that is why it has now ended. My child, what comes next will require the depth you have gained, the wisdom you have learned, and the humility that was formed in secret. Walk forward knowing this. I refined you because I trust you. I prepared you because I love you. And I protected you because your future matters to me more than your comfort ever could. My child, listen to me with urgency now, because this moment matters more than you realize. What I am about to tell you is not for later, not for someday, not for when you feel more confident or more prepared. This is for now. Do this as soon as you can. Do not delay it in your heart. Do not postpone it in your mind. I am calling you to move, not in panic, not in confusion, but in trust. The season of hesitation has ended. The season of response has begun. Type Amen. I trust every promise written for me if God's word is your anchor, and share this video.